West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers. Ah! Ah! Hello, I am Dave. Welcome to SunD.A.V.E. Sit Down. SunD.A.V.E. Sit Down is the place to be. SunD.A.V.E. Sit Down is the place to be. Everything's rigged, Ray. Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy SunD.A.V.E. Happy SunD.A.V.E. I am Dave, your host. How's everybody doing this weekend? Is everybody ready to spend a little time here? Maybe ask me a question, maybe talk about a thing or two. Uh, well, it's another Sunday. I got to say, I'm still a little brain dead. I had my big sale yesterday on Grails on Instagram from it was 12 noon Pacific all the way till 4, and then we did like another 50 minutes. I was live for almost 5 hours yesterday, which was wild. It was great. It was fantastic. I think everybody, anybody who's watching this that took part in the sale, that said hi, that just watched, I appreciate it. Um, so that was fantastic, and I'll be talking about this probably for a little while, and I, it was great. So if anybody was in there, once again, thank you. And if you bought a book, thank you 2, thank you 3, thank you 4. Next week, next Sunday, a week from tonight, it's book club time. It's Dave Enger's book club, and we're doing The Killing Joke. So don't forget to read this book. If you've never read it before, classic Alan Moore story and the incredibly masterful artwork of Brian Bolland as well. This is the deluxe edition, and it actually was recolored by Brian Bolland. He didn't do the original coloring for the book, and he was not happy with the original coloring for the book. So he, when they decided to re-release this, he asked DC to let him recolor it, and he did, and it's fantastic. But it doesn't matter what version of the book you have. It's, story-wise, it's the same book. Who's in the house? We got Ray in the house. We got John in the house. Stopped by and tried to heckle you a bit, but yeah, and I really, I was seeing the comments a little bit, but that was the whole thing, is being hosted by Grails. They have more followers, but it alleviates me from really having to pay attention to a lot of the comments or the claims and stuff like that. Josh is in the house. What's up, my brother? What's up? So I didn't, I'm not going to talk spoilers tonight. I did see Quantumania. It's very interesting. It's very polarizing if you look online and you see people talking about it, saying that it was bad, or it was this, that, or the other thing. It was not amazingly fantastic, but it was entertaining, and that's really why I go to see Marvel movies, is to be entertained. Very much when I sit down in the movie theater to see a Marvel movie, I imagine Russell Crowe walking up right before the movie starts, and then after the movie ends, "Are you not entertained? Is that not why you are here?" I will say this: Kang, Jonathan Majors, and MODOK were the highlights of the movie. There were some humorous parts as well, which it's Paul Rudd, so you're gonna get some humor. I was entertained. I'd say 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. I was like very fine plus. So sound off if you saw it. No spoilers. Just it's only been out 3 days. Post-credit scenes were good. I kind of want to watch it high, but not a bad score. No, it's not a bad score. Honestly, and for me personally, going into this movie, I wasn't super invested in it. I really enjoy the Ant-Man movies because they make me laugh. Um, but I can't tell you I've ever read a story that Kang was in, so I'm not like super gung ho about this character. But I do love Jonathan Majors. It did get weird. Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed that too. Um, and weird is always good. Uh, y- you know, the last what 5 MCU movies to come out. Let's take No Way Home out of it. Uh, I think my favorite, overall, and I still have to watch Wakanda Forever for a third time, but at this point, I've watched Multiverse of Madness probably 5 or 6 times, and I absolutely love that movie. I like weird, I like horror, I like Sam Raimi, and so that movie was great. But Wakanda Forever is probably the best movie that they've put out as a movie. Dave said he's gonna watch it on Disney Plus because he's that kind of guy. I understand that. Not a movie theater guy all the time, unless it's like a horror movie or something that you're revisiting, like seeing the 35th or 40th anniversary of The Thing. Um, and you don't have to run out to see this movie, but it's fun to see it in the theater. I will say my one legitimate complaint about the release of this movie: it should have been a wide release 3D movie, and it should have been 3D IMAX. But I guess Avatar is kind of still holding it down on that front. So you know, it's funny. The last movie I think I saw with you in the theater, or the only movie I think I saw with you in the no, the last movie I saw with you in the theater was Black Widow, and that was probably the weakest of the MCU movies, and I think we both kind of felt that. Um, Although Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson and Rachel Weisz, great to watch, but the movie was it was all right. So yeah, don't forget to read this next week. Hopefully, a couple special or a couple of guests will be joining me, so it's not just me talking into the void as it is when I'm alone. It is kind of it's kind of weird to do this sometimes after like having a guest and then the next week having nobody on and just kind of speaking into the void. But it's not a void. You beautiful people are all here, and if you're interested, and I will be working on it a little bit this week. I did start a Discord. Some of you had asked me if I wanted to, or some of you had said you should make a Discord. So that link is in the description below. I'm just learning Discord, so if you're afraid, like, oh, I don't know what a Discord is, neither do I. So let's join this together. Tyler's gonna claim D. Oh damn it! I tried to flick it up and catch it, but it went onto the shelf. Tyler, that'll be $4.20. Ray, I'm pretty sure I left the link in the description below, so you can just click it and then get a ticket, or click it, don't get a ticket, whatever. So I did tonight. I am Modoc, but tonight is a live Q&A. So throw some questions down there. Um, I may. I'm still on the fence of having a. I am on the fence. Yeah, seriously, nobody really knows what a Discord is. It's like the beginning of the internet and current internet marrying themselves. Um, but I'm on the fence of having a West Coast Wednesday this week. I am a little exhausted, but you know, I might change my mind. So right now, I would say it's about 70-30 in favor of having a West Coast Wednesday, but we'll see what happens. I read what am I reading right now? I started reading Nemesis this week, Nemesis Reloaded. Um, which is the I guess the reboot of the Mark Miller story that he put out, right on the heels of Kick Ass. Nemesis was really good. That was Miller and Steve McNiven about he's like a Batman, but if Batman was like a vigilante that kills everybody instead of doesn't. So I started reading Nemesis Reloaded this week, which is a reboot, and it's Jorge Jimenez and Mark Miller writing. I read the first 2 issues today because that's all that's out. It's pretty good. I feel like Mark Miller is one of those guys that when he writes a story, you need to read the whole thing to actually have any judgment on it. He doesn't write boring, and and that's the thing. So like when you pick up first issue, you're entertained. When you pick up the second issue, you want to keep reading, but it's hard to really get a grasp on if it's going to be good or bad until it's over. It's very strange in Kick-Ass, I read a lot of his books from the beginning. Uh, his Marvel stuff is fantastic. His Marvel stuff is some of the best books that have been written in the last 30 years in the superhero genre. And if you're not sure who I'm talking about, his name is spelt Millar, Millar. People, but he's Scottish, so it's just Miller. Mark Miller. Um, I'll get to that in a second. I don't like comics. Welcome back to the program. Nice to see you. Hello from Canada, my friend to the north. I might take a personal day. It's also sometimes I just bored, so I'm like, let's do a sale. Um, Huck is good. I think I clocked out at Huck. I think that was the last book I ever read of his, and then I just took a long break. Um, Amber, hi, nice to see you. So yeah, so Mark Miller, let's go back. Let's go back. His Marvel stuff, and he also wrote some Authority Planetary, I believe. Um, Red Sun Superman is probably the first book that I think I read of his, which is an Elseworld Superman book and one of the best. Um, but his Marvel stuff, he wrote all of Civil War. He wrote the first, I want to say the first two stories in Ultimates. So, like, the Avengers as they appear on film have a lot to do with Miller. Um, and his Old Man Logan run, obviously legendary. They picked apart a little bit of pieces of his story and made the movie Logan. He's responsible for just so much good stuff at Marvel. And Dave picked up this weekend Monstrous. It's an oversized hardback, 11 by 14. Interesting. I wonder if that might be their first collaboration, and then ended up leading to what they worked on together with Frankenstein. I'll have to. I want to see that. You'll have to send me a picture of the cover so I can keep it on my radar. So Miller does Old Man Logan, Civil War, Ultimates, and I know I'm forgetting a couple of things. Oh, 1985, if you've never read, that's a great Marvel story too, where all these Marvel characters spill out of a portal or whatever into 1985. But then he left and he started doing his own projects, which I believe Kick-Ass is the first, or Wanted was the first. Either way, both of those became movies and were huge hits. The books are great, the movies are great too. And then he also goes on to do it was called Secret Service, which became Kingsman. And that spawned what, three movies, I guess. I only saw the first two, but the Secret Service was fantastic. This guy just got the pick of the litter of the best artists, and you should read like the first five or six things that he put out. Wanted, Kick Ass, Secret Service, Jupiter's Legacy is really good, or whatever the first one was, and then you've got Starlight, I think it was called. Anyway, he ended up and he has his own podcast now, and it's a fun watch. He interviews and it's on YouTube, but Miller interviews like his friends, his industry, friends and coworkers and stuff. Trying to think who Liefeld, Sean Murphy, John Romita Jr. He's only done like 10 episodes so far, but they're great. But it's interesting because this dude, he ends up selling his Miller World to Netflix for some crazy amount of money, and and it's funny because he talks about this on his podcast, that everybody that because it was a 50-50 split on all these things. So like Kick-Ass is creator owned, and he owns half, and John Romita Jr. owns half. He made all these people like super rich, and they talk about it like he had Lenny Yu on the program, and Lenny Yu did Superior for Miller, and Lenny Yu's basically like, I don't have to work for the rest of my life because of you. So anyway, I'm reading, and that was I went back, and then I went forward, and so I'm reading Nemesis Reloaded, and it's entertaining. Jorge Jimenez is a great artist, so if you get a chance, maybe check that out. But check out some of Miller's old work, all those books I just mentioned. But if you've never read Civil War somehow, great. Red Sun Superman, Old Man Logan is probably top 5 Wolverine stories of all time. He also did a great run on Wolverine, starting with Enemy of the State. So I guess that's Wolverine 25, and that's with John Romita Jr. And that's when the Hand like takes control of Wolverine, and they basically just turn Wolverine into the ultimate killing machine. But please throw some questions up in the chat. Um, I'm going to do a giveaway in a little bit. I did bring a couple of things to look through. I also might open some more of these Image Universe packs, but I am going to give away, if we get, to an hour maybe. If we get to an hour and there's like 20 people in the room, well, I think that's a great time to give away one of these packs in this Image Comics poster, which features artwork from Todd, Mark Silvestri, Valentino, and Eric Larson. So give that away. Yeah, Ray, it's super interesting how he got everybody paid. He talked about it a lot on the Lennial U episode this week, because Lennial U is, one of the creators, but they had a very honest conversation about it. And Miller's like, look, he's trying to right some of the wrongs in the comic industry in the past, with artists not getting paid their due and royalties and all that stuff. And since he's the only writer, he doesn't have to worry about like taking care of writers, because it's all his creations. And so I think that it is very interesting. For Civil War, my favorite book was the reporters. What the hell's that one called? Frontline, I think. Frontline was very interesting. It's funny, in 2000 and I don't know, 2016 or 2015, somewhere around then, I was kind of like buying less comics, and I had this really big desktop Mac. It was like a 27-inch. So I got like one of those comic readers, and I downloaded a torrent of all of the books on the Civil War crossover. It was like 106 books. And I sat down, and I didn't do it in one sitting, but over the course of like a week or two, every night I'd read like 6 or 7 books in the order that they were supposed to be, that they came out. And I read the entire Civil War crossover, every book. I don't suggest you ever doing that if you if you really want to, if you really want to enjoy life as a human being. But it was interesting to see, how there was a lot of cohesiveness in the crossover books and the titles. But I really enjoyed Frontline. There was a couple others, I can't remember the name. The Spider-Man books were really good, though. I don't remember the MJ point of view, but it kind of all blends together. The leading up to Civil War was pretty interesting, and then Civil War was just fantastic. It changed the Marvel universe for forever, and it also shaped the MCU. I find Jeff Lemire in the same category as Miller. Yeah, yeah. Sweet Tooth is fantastic. Underwater Welder is fantastic. What was Trillium was really good. Trillium Trillium was one of those like really, really emotional books. Trying to think. Ascender, I never finished Descender and Ascender. So I'd have to go back and read that. I believe that was Lemire. Um, and then I know he's done a lot in DC that I've never read. But great story and crossovers, huge event. Yeah, it was well constructed, Joe. It really was. It really was. I enjoyed it. It's just like trying to read 100. I think it's like 118 comics, all kind of interweaving. It does things to your brain. I like giveaway. USA hamburger, large French fries, and homemade large orange juice, please. Two patties, pickles, sausage. I don't know. Black Hammer, right. I never read Black Hammer. I actually just sold all of the Black Hammer that I had to a friend of the channel, Nerds Pub. And I do want to read it at some point. It's just can't read everything. But yeah, Black Hammer is its own universe, and it's very popular. She had a talk with Sue Storm and thoughts on Black Cat. Interesting. I truly don't remember it, even though I know I read it. I don't know if some of you are like me, but it's hard to sometimes read, and I don't really. All right, have a great night, Amber. I'll see you Wednesday, if not next Wednesday or next Sunday. Don't forget, don't forget, read Killing Joke. That was terrifying. I know. Uh, sometimes I have to like. It's hard for me to read crossovers in comics, and I kind of have stopped because unless you're reading all the books, you're missing pieces. And then when you try and read all the books, it's never always super cohesive because I've got like three different writers involved. I feel like though back in the day and Civil War time when it was really it was like Bendis and Miller were the two really big architects of what was going on on Marvel. Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Thanks, Dad. Amber, the owner of the GSX. That's right. That's right. Everything Marvel. Yes, that is very true. That is, but that's why self-contained graphic novels are fantastic. Standalone stories. I or indie stuff because indie stuff doesn't have to do with the bigger picture. It has to do with what's just going on in those books. What else have I been reading? I've been powering through Invincible, which I can't overstate it enough. That it is the best superhero book of all time. It's its own universe. Every once in a while you get a crossover from you see Savage Dragon in there, or Super Patriot, but Kirkman wrote the best Superman book ever written that has nothing that isn't Superman, and it's so good. It's so good. So, but yeah, please throw up any questions. Don't throw up, but throw up in the chat any questions you may have for me because I will talk. Um, I did bring. Maybe we'll look through this. I haven't even really cracked this open since I got it. This is an old Bill Sankiewicz, Bill Sankiewicz sketchbook from Fantagraphics in what year is this? 19 probably 80 something, 1990, and it's got an introduction from Alan Moore. Did I buy the number one when it came out? No, no. Invincible. I was late to the game on Invincible. My oldest friend Seth, he was reading it at the time, but I don't think he was reading it in single issue format. And he's like, "You really need to read this book." And I think I just ended up buying the first hardcover when it came out, and I was hooked. I was hooked. I do, there I've gone in and out of buying single issues my entire life, like buying weeklies. There were years and years that I bought, I had my pull list and then I stopped and I wanted to just read collections. And it's funny because a lot of I read in the early 2000s, like the first 5, 6, 7 years of the 2000s, I was only reading non-Marvel and DC for the most part. And so like my roommate had told me to read Lock and Key, but by the time that she told me that, she said it was already sold out. The first couple issues were sold out. So I got the first hardcover and I continued to read Lock and Key in hardcover format. And the same thing happened with Chew in a little bit. Well, actually, no, Chew, when Chew came out, I was reading, and if you've never read Chew or Lock and Key, like these are some of my favorite series of all time. Chew came out, and the first issue had already gone into like third printing, so I bought the third print of number one, the second print of number two, and then I was reading it in single issue format from then on. The one that I got in on the ground floor was Saga because I'd already read all of Y the Last Man and Ex Machina and Pride and all the Brian K. Vaughan stuff. So Saga came out and I was like, yeah, I'm going to pick this up as soon as it comes out. Yes, trying to keep on weekly singles is exhausting. I can't imagine doing the Marvel DC dance and buying singles every week. I seriously can't imagine doing that anymore. And I don't think, you know, it's also because, and this is a bigger discussion about the comics industry, and it's actually not, it's the big two, because Image doesn't really do that. Spawn, Savage Dragon are the two longest running series in Image. Everything else is in, like Walking Dead's over, Invincible's over, Black Science is over, um, Ascender Descender is over. Spawn, Savage Dragon, those are the only real like monthly books that would be on your pull list. Whereas like Saga is only whatever, they're at like issue 60 something, and that has an end in sight. Buying trades, buying hardcovers, buying omnibuses. Omnibuses are a pain in the ass to read because by the time you're in issue 25, you're like, "Ugh, this thing is so heavy." But the graphic novel market is, it has far surpassed what single issues have done and still do on a weekly basis. Um, and then you look at the way manga does it. Manga does it. Their single issues are this thick. So I think people would be more inclined to buy weeklies if the stories weren't just like they're built for trades. Give us some give us some books. Give us an X-Men book that's a different story every week. Give us a Wolverine book that's a different story every week. Because otherwise, what's the point of buying weeklies? And from a collector standpoint, it gets out of hand. I'd much rather just go back and buy books that I want in single issues to look through the art because they look better in the old format. But who is there anybody out there that actually likes reading? And when I mean reading the words. Silver Age books. Art, you could sit and look through a Jack Kirby book all day. I flipped open a book this week and prepped for my sale. And I can't remember. I think it was an early X-Men book. I think it was like X-Men 7 or X-Men 5 or something. And there's like a panel where Beast calls Jean Grey woman. And I'm just like, what the what am I even looking at? I was looking through my buddy's Grendel Volume 1 omnibus and noticed that it was really just, yeah, and we also as people, we also as people, we also have to realize like it's okay. Like it took me a long time to get to a place where putting down an actual novel because I wasn't enjoying it. Um, it's okay to just like say I don't want to read this. This isn't good. Instead of like powering through it. And that with comics, it took me even longer to be like, oh, I can just do what I did as a kid and and look at the art because the text is horrendous. That's why Kev likes one-offs like Ice Cream Man. Yeah, that's one of those series that I have not started to read, and I would like to. Um, it's on my list. Something is Killing the Children was one of those books that I had put off, and then I started reading, and I really like it. Tyler can't read. I'm sorry, buddy. How did you know that there was a Dominic Hasek jersey that you were wearing? It could have just said ha 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 ha. Silver Age is wordy as fuck, and it's just not good writing. It's not. It's of the time. That's what I should say. Silver Age horror is fun to read. I can't say I've read word wise too much of it, except Swamp Thing. But I love Swamp Thing. Um, but the aesthetics in Silver Age horror and even Bronze Age horror is great, and it typically has some of the best artwork. Well, come to Papa. Maybe he'll buy some from you. Yeah, and that's kind of the type of book you want, because if you could start anywhere, especially on an indie, that's very interesting. Typically indies seem to follow a big arc because there's a beginning and an end of the whole book. But yeah, that's interesting. I do want to start it, Kev. So I'll let you know when I do, and we can talk about it. Oh, based off the word of my dad who got me. All right, fair enough, Tyler. Fair enough, Tyler. um, so yeah, there are some, like Sandman did that. Sandman had an overall arc, and it had arcs in its 75 issues. So like story arcs, but the overall arc. But Neil Gaiman still had ways he put in single issue stories, like the Dream of Cats, and Calliope, and the Midsummer Night's Dream. So I do enjoy that. Joe Hill, Joe Hill would do that with Lock and Key. He'd have one-off stories, some backstories, and some character stories. That was really nice. Uh, so there's just something about when you try and get involved with the superhero books, it becomes overwhelming. It becomes hard to, and then you don't want to buy the single issues. The only single issues I'm currently buying are the Batman Joker Deadly Duo, because that's a mini series. So it's going to be 8 issues or 6 issues. I can't remember the number. Marvel Voices is cool like that. I never read a Marvel Voices, but I'm trying to think what if I have any of them. Yeah, short stories. Well, and if you go back to the, like I said, the early 2000s, which is like probably the best era of Marvel in the last 40 years, is early era, or like Joe Quesada, editor in chief, and Axel Alonso kind of gets started there, and Bill Jemas, like all those guys when they were involved, that was the best part of Marvel. They released a great 3 issue Strange Tales. They were doing the double shot. They were doing Marvel Knights was a great series. So they were doing short stuff, and then they were doing, they had some of the best writers working. They had Garth Ennis, Mark Miller, Brian Michael Bendis. That those three were knocking it out of the park on a monthly basis, and it was still fun to buy single issues. Then J. Michael Straczynski came on. Then they did the Marvel Max line, got started, and brought some of the best stories. Punisher Born was my introduction to the Marvel Max line, and I will harp on that. Yeah, well, so the early 2000s ASM was horrible because Straczynski had a great run, and then I forget what happened, and he got fed up with them, and he tanked that last like 6 issues or whatever. And I think he did it to fuck with Marvel. But Bendis's Spider-Man was good. Bendis's Daredevil was great. Punisher Max. I mean, Garth Ennis, and I've talked about this on the show before. Garth Ennis, the best Punisher writer ever. There's almost no other category where Punisher exists as good writing outside of Ennis. Almost. Actually, all 2000s ASM. I'm trying to think the last time I read Amazing Spider-Man. I probably read the Straczynski run, and then that was it. I can't. It's too much. It's 800. What are there, like almost 1,000 issues on Spider-Man? There's been some good Spider-Man stories that I've enjoyed, but it is like outside that. Like Spider-Man life story was fantastic. Chip Zdarsky wrote that, and then Spider-Man Blue. Um, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. That's fantastic. Oh, you sent the New Mutants, the Near Mint Pro. That was a very clean copy that I sold probably cheaper than I should have, but that's okay because that's what I like to do. It's what I like to do. I keep hearing New Punisher is good. Yeah, I mean it's Jason Aaron, and Aaron's a great writer. I mean his Thor run obviously is legendary, and that's probably who I think Thor. Jason Aaron was one of the last great Marvel books that I had read, until Silver Surfer Black. That's first appearance of Barracuda. That's right. I sold that to you as well. Another great book. Another clean copy too. Um, yeah, Ennis is, he's one of those. He's one of my favorite writers. The Boys, The Pro, Punisher, Preacher. Oh God, Preacher. Speaking of, I'm getting a commission done, and I don't even think I haven't been charged for it yet, so we'll see when I get billed for it. But I'm doing a Glenn Fabry. Speaking of Garth Ennis covers, a Glenn Fabry Bane Batman commission. So I'm really hoping that comes out great. Looking forward to getting that whenever it gets done. Probably won't be for a couple months, but that'll be fun. He opened up his commission list, and if you're not familiar with Glenn Fabry, you know, uh, kind of a contemporary of Simon Bisley. He's probably a little bit younger than Simon Bisley, but he's very much in the same vein. But he did all the covers for Preacher, every single one. And if you've never read Preacher, if you are highly offended by the idea of anti-religion in a comic book, it might not be for you. Glenn Fabry and Ennis do Just a Pilgrim. That's right. That's right. Just a Pilgrim, which is I guess it's a offshoot. That's a Preacher offshoot, right? Isn't that? Or am I thinking of no, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of the whatchamacallit of Sinners. They did a offshoot. I never read Dix. Never read Dix. Preacher, like I would, if you've never read Preacher, and you enjoy the idea of stuff that's in the same vein of The Boys, just different subject. Whereas like The Boys is an anti-superhero book, the Preacher's just this fantastic journey. It's a road trip book too. So if you like road trip movies and stuff like that, then you're in for a treat. Transmetropolitan, also a great book. Warren Ellis, the kind of like journalistic anti-media, if you don't like news media outlets and stuff like that, Transmet, it's a great book too. Ellis, Ennis, Millar, or Miller, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman. Am I missing anybody from that, like British invasion or UK invasion of writers? Dave, I'd like to see you ASN 129, please. I don't have it anymore. Oh no. You must have missed my drop on Friday, but I posted a new episode on Friday. Usually it premieres Sunday morning, but I put it out Friday before my Saturday sale. I traded my ASM 129 and a GI Joe 2196 newsstand for an original page from Marvel Spotlight 6, which is the second appearance of Ghost Rider. Original art by Mike Plug and inks by Frank Chiaramonte. A trade that I was not going to pass up. And we're going to see what happens with that page. I tried to sell it this weekend, but I got a couple of people interested in it, but not ready to spend that kind of money. So yeah, I had that ASM 129 for a little over a year, and I held it until the right moment. And that was the right moment. You don't often get a shot to get original artwork from the second appearance of a major Marvel character, let alone or a first appearance of the major Marvel character. But that's something else. I'm really stoked. Yes, I did. I had way too much fun because I was like, you look at it, you like Chiramani. No, you got to go Frank Chiramante. I could go even farther, but after all, I don't know the man. He's also been dead for like 30 something years. I feel like he died in the 80s. But yeah, so I traded that for I got that Marvel Spotlight page for an ASM 129.92 and GI Joe 2196 newsstand from Jeff, the owner of Ancient Comics outside of Seattle, Washington. And that, once again, was not going to pass that up. Yeah, that was like the first big, like, crazy find I had gotten. I bought that box for $100 off somebody that was selling it on the internet. She said she didn't look through the comics. And when you think about it, for $100, yeah, rigged video. I wish I could act that excited, period. But it's funny because she never got comics after that. I message her every once in a while to ask her, but she said she didn't look through the box. And I just asked her one simple question before I went out there, because it was like 7 o'clock at night, and it was like a 30-mile drive or something like that. And I said, "Is the box water damaged at all? Do you see any water stains, or any of the comics feel damp?" And she said, "No." So I went and I picked it up, and I figured, like, look, I spent $60 on this box to just open this and have fun. So spending $100 on a mystery box of comics from somebody that does not know comics, did I really have anything to lose? Nah, nah, not at all. Nothing to lose. And then yes, the GSX find was amazing. That one was a little more like I knew what I was getting into, in the fact that when I went to his house, he had everything in piles on the floor. So I saw some of the books. I saw the Batman 251, and I saw, like, I think X-Men 96. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend, I think I spent $600 on that. I was like, I'm at least gonna get my money's worth. But I had no clue that when I picked those books up, that the GSX was in there. And you watch, you watch the video, which according to Ray was also rigged. Apparently, my entire life is rigged, according to Senior Warlock. Um, and any second, Stanley's ghost is going to come through this door and say "Excelsior." Uh, the GSX, though, when we were going through the video live, and there was, I could see the people talking in the chat, and there was like a hint that I might get the GSX, especially because the 94 was in there. But it's still like I didn't think it was actually going to happen, and it did, and I lost my shit. um, but I actually know when I'm going to die. All that, it's all rigged. So that it's funny. The guy who I got that GSX from, I went back. What was that, like 2 weeks ago, and got some more books from him. And then he messaged me yesterday during the sale, and I saw it after, and he's like, "Oh, I got new books." And I hit him back, and then this morning he's like, "Oh, I sold them." I'm like, I sent them. I was really pissed, but I tried not to, like, really, like, dig into him, because I don't want this guy not to give me more books. I was like, I don't understand it. You message me that you have new books, and then you sell them before reading my reply of, "Hey, I'll come down and take a look at them." And he's like, "Oh, they were all new from the 90s." I'm like, "That's not new. The 90s was fucking 32 years ago. Hello. 3 decades is not new, because that means I'm a baby. I'm a 13-year-old baby." Our meeting was rigged. Um, I set up that garage sale in Tacoma, at my house, so that I would find all the comic people, and then I would filter them through my personality test, and then, take you and Steve and become friends with them. So, yes, that was rigged also. You know what's also rigged? This pack. I'm going to open this pack right now. I'm going to open one of these packs. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to turn on the other camera. Let's see what these let's see what kind of Chrome cards I get today. Image Universe Chrome cards. Anybody else out there have any books that they would recommend as some of their favorite, stories that they ever read? I'm always looking to read new stuff. I know Ice Cream Man is Kev's thing. Ooh, look at that! Look at that, Jim Lee. What's her name? I can't remember her name. Zealot. Zealot. It's a cool card. The 90s was not over 30 years ago. You shut your mouth. Oh, okay. Look who it is. It's Spawny. Mr. Spawny. Savage Dragon versus Vanguard. Yeah. Well, Eric Larson. Fun stuff here. These cards do brick, but they don't brick where I think it really damages them. Oh my god, look at this picture of new Buffy. I never got into Buffy. As somebody that doesn't like really care about the show? Would it be enjoyable, or would I be just completely lost? Here's another Vanguard card. Vanguard card. Vanguard card. Vanguard card. There's a Violator card. Oh, I love that. I feel like this is from issue 2 or maybe 3. I think he kills the mafia guys, rips one of the hearts out. Not new, but ASM 33 is one of my favorites. Are we talking original ASM 33? Or are we talking whatever that is, like volume 2? It's campy fun. I love campy fun. Saga's fantastic. I need to catch up on Saga. I bought all the single issues and read it up until 42 or or whatever the first break was. I read up into that break. And then I stopped buying single issues, so I hadn't read Saga since then, which would have been about 8 years ago. But I'll probably just wait until it completely finishes and then read the whole thing. Let's open another pack. Origin. I know the issue you're talking about, Dan. That's the one where he is that the issue where he finds out he's got like the super strength? Is that cover 33 where he finds out like he's a lot stronger than he thought he was? It was kind of like, you know, the image on the cover is all that stuff on top of him, and it's been homaged in 2 or 3 of the movies. These are fun. I like these cards. Ooh, who's this? Is that Zealot? Dude, Invincible is ballistic. That's a Silvestri card. Invincible is so good. Yeah, and that's how I feel you on Invincible. But yeah, I'll say this. I'll say this about Invincible. You start reading it, you don't put it down. Like I have to struggle to put it down when I start reading it. Okay, that is the one. You know, I've never read that issue, Dan. I've never read it. But I don't think I own it anymore. I think that's one of the ones that I've sold. I keep a lot of my ASM silver because I think they're some of the best comics, period. Just, you know, they look beautiful. The art is iconic. And, you know, it's Spider Man. Look at that. It's the Spawn drag car that they had. I don't know if it still exists, but this is the Spawn drag car. I'll throw that in somebody's order this week if I do a sale, or next week. I'll probably throw a lot of these cards in with orders just because they're fun. I'll keep a couple of the Spawn ones for myself, and then I'll throw some in for other people. So, all right, let's do that. Let's get this camera off. I just wanted to open some packs. I like opening packs. Do I have anybody in here that is not read this before? I'm very interested. And is there anybody in here that's not read this that is excited to read it for next week? I haven't read it in a while. The story kind of always in the back of my head. Interesting. People say it was Ditko's feelings about Stan Lee and Marvel. Huh. Yeah, he didn't really have a good relationship with Marvel. He's a very polarizing figure too. I don't know a ton about him, but you know, he was a shut-in. He was not happy with Marvel. He basically like stepped away from the limelight. All right, so you've never read this, Ray, and Kev's never read a DC book nor this. Okay, I mean, I don't think it'd really be going out on a limb saying this is probably top 5 comic book stories of all time, top 5 comics of all time. The art is also iconic and fantastic. Let's show. I mean, if you know this panel, you know this image, but this is one of the greatest. This is the greatest Joker image of all time. With all respect to Neil Adams, I mean, it's more iconic than anything. Look, If you're gonna read it, that's the point of this book club, is to encourage people who haven't read some of these stories to read them, and for people that have read it to have a reason to read it again, and then we can all talk about it. So that's my hope with the book club going forward. I thought we had a good one for the first month, which was last month, and that was uh, Torment, Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane. Um, I've already talked about it. I get the app. There you go. You can do that too. Next month, I'm going back to Marvel. We're doing Weapon X, Barry Windsor Smith. So get your reading done on that. But yeah, so that's my idea for the book club, is to encourage more people reading. Because look, I what I've learned, it's something I kind of always knew, but what I've learned in the especially in the boom of the last couple of years, and the previous years, and the my entire life collecting comics, uh you know selling some here and there, and doing this full time now, is that most of the people that buy comics on these sales, they don't really read comics. Like there's a lot of comic book readers out there, and I'm not trying to say that, and I'm not saying that about anybody. I think most of the people that come to my sales, and most of the people that come to this channel in general, are comic readers or want to start reading more comics. But there's so many people that just don't read comics. They buy them, they collect them, but they don't look at them. And I don't give a shit if you're like, oh, I don't read text. Like I don't give a shit. Look inside. You know, to read a sketchbook, you don't have to read every word that's written in here. You could just look at the Bill Sienkiewicz's drawings. But it's just very strange to me that people are still like that. But I don't know. I can't control other people. Uh, so a lot of readers I know don't collect, don't sell, don't care about price. That to me makes more sense than like people that buy comics, in these sales, or go to comic book stores and don't read them. Collecting seems more of a niche thing, whereas reading does not seem niche to me. It's like I buy DVDs, but I don't actually watch them. you know? Yeah, look at your books. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in my how it works for me when I'm taking books in, or I'm pricing books and stuff like that. um I look inside every book because I want to make sure, A, the shit's complete and I'm not selling somebody a book that I looked at the cover. B, I want to look in the book because I want to look at the book. C, I always check to make sure their signatures are not in there. I actually found a couple recently that I did not know were signed. So I love it. Plus, for me, this is there's a little bit of research, right? There's a little bit of research involved, because if I'm taking in a collection and I'm getting ready to sell, there's a lot of books I've never seen before, I've never owned before. Of course, I want to flip through it. When I got first thing I did, the first thing I did when I came home with that first appearance of the Riddler last week, I sat down, I cleaned the table, I washed my hands, I put on a pair of gloves, I opened that Detective Comics 140 up, and I looked through the whole thing. And I actually videoed it. It's going to be an episode. I wanted to make sure, A, the book was okay. B, I wanted to see this book that's 80 years old, that how the hell would I have ever seen except for a reprint? And I don't have anything against reprints, but uh seeing that book for the first time in person in its original printed form was life changing for me. You're in the middle. It just takes some time, Ray. Little middle the rhyme. Everything'll be. Oh, you meant you're in the middle of. Yeah, I got you. That cyborg book I wanted, you had three, and they were all different sigs and double sigs. Yeah, I had. It was signed by Wolfman and Perez, and then was there one that I had three signatures on it? I don't remember. I still kept one of them. I kept one of the cyborgs signed by Wolfman and Perez. 20 people, almost 20 people in the room. If we get 20, I'm going to do the giveaway. Either way, I'll do the giveaway soon. But hey, there he is. Hello. Hello, my brother from down under. It's funny, Rowan, we were just talking, well, we've been talking about reading comics the whole time, but how a lot of people that buy comics on Instagram, and I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just saying, like, it's a fact that a lot of people don't read this stuff. And I'm not saying you don't have to be like Rowan, who does read all of his books, even the high end ones. But like, look through it because the art is going to be amazing. Uh, Ramita ASM's helped me learn to read as a kid. See, that's fantastic. I love hearing that. Give me reader copies of ASM to my nephew. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I read comics voraciously and I still do. I just choose these days to read in the collected format because I also like having the entire story. I feel like as I get older, I get a little more impatient and I don't want to wait every week. It's also part of the society that we live in now, in the binge society where we get the whole thing. But, good things are worth waiting for. Like the Sandman series, I spaced out over the course of 6 weeks and I watched it all. Uh, Dave said he's more into the art, always have been. I mostly buy books to chase the artists I admire, but I look at each panel they draw. Exactly. And Dave gave a crash course on really deep diving into art when we did the Bernie Wrightson video, which is available on YouTube. You can watch it. It's a little bit long, but if you really want to hear somebody talk about art at a level that will bring you knowledge, listen to Dave. I mostly just chime in with things. I'm an energy person. Most of you probably figured that out. I go on emotion and energy. That's how I take in the things that I read, that I listen to, that I watch. That's how I express myself. And I don't. I'm not scholarly. I'm not process oriented. I'm energy and emotion oriented. I'm an emotional motherfucker, all right? I think y'all know that by now. West Coast Adventures. He's an emotional kind of guy. All right. I did promise to do a giveaway, so we'll do that. Art is first for me. Back in the day, you can never know the cover artist. It's not the interior. Yeah, and that's the thing. It depends on what we're reading, right? Art for me, guys, that Todd and Kirby and Eric Larson and Silvestri, but words and pictures, Dave Gibbons, Alan Moore, um, Dave McKean, Neil Gaiman. Those are like some of my favorite combinations. Charles Vest, Neil Gaiman. So there's so much out there to enjoy. Old timer gaming. I used to spend my lunch money on them during the 80s. I read them and loved the stories. We used to trade in school. I used to sell comics to my friends. My friends would sell comics to me. Like that was the purest. That was the purest of my childhood, was trading comics and buying and selling to friends and from friends. And obviously it was different back then because some of our comics were beat up, but I remember still buying and I don't know if this he's still alive. I don't know, I don't know where he is in this planet, but Ryan, I think it was Ryan Ricketts sold me my first Todd ASM. I believe it was a beat up copy of the Captain America issue. So that was 324, 323 assassination plot. Dave, your dance moves make me remember the movie night. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Uh, all right, Dan's X-Men comics. Dan, good to see you tonight. And Old Timer Gaming, good to see you tonight too. I used to read a lot and then I've recently been collecting and hoarding. It's a good reminder to take a look inside and enjoy them while I got them. Well, and sure, there's okay, so multiple reasons, and I'll post these pictures on Instagram when I find them. Uh I'll be looking through comics, I let's call it processing comics, that's me looking, giving a grade, thinking about a price, right? But I will flip through the book. And if it's a book that I've never looked through, I'll do cover to cover and I'll pay attention to what I'm looking at, not just condition wise. But if it's a book I've looked through or I've read, I'll do the quick flip But then I was doing a Fantastic Four 89, I think it was. It's that Doom cover where he's, like, kinda hovering over Latveria, and there was that one-page splash with Kirby, the Kirby one-page splash where he's holding the gun, and it's, like, the fucking greatest image of all time of Doom, and I would never have seen it if I didn't look through it. That's why I love looking through Kirby books because there's always gonna be these amazing, amazing splash pages, and, Todd, I'm not gonna keep going on about Todd tonight, but it's the same thing. Like every time I'm looking at a Todd book that I haven't looked at in a while, like ASM 317 or something like that, I'll stop and I'll be like, oh man, this is why I love his art and I always have. And then, there's books that I've never looked through before. A lot of these early X-Men's that I've been selling recently, never had them before, so I never got a chance to look through them. And I don't. If some of you might have been in here, it was an early episode of SunD.A.V.E. Sitdown, and I actually did a flip through of a X-Men 2, and it was a lot of fun to do. You know what? Why don't you let's do that tonight. I'm gonna grab a key book, something I have a box over here that should have something interesting, and let's take a look. Let's do this. Let's flip through a book that's probably something that is really expensive, and yeah, it'll be fun. Give me one sec. Let- Let's see what I can find. Let's see. All right, let's see what we got here. Do. All right. Oh, that could be a fun one. You know what? I just found one that okay, all right. Ooh. All right, we're gonna do two choices. We're gonna I'm gonna give you guys two choices. And we're gonna vote on it. 16 people in the room. I don't believe that I've ever read either of these books. Let me fix the camera here so that we can get the top down view. Okay. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. All right, 16 people in the room. You guys get to choose between Fantastic Four 55 or Captain America 109, The Origin of Captain America. Not super expensive books, but they're actually both pretty high grade. Uh, so I'm going to vote Fantastic Four 55 because it's Kirby, but there's also this. So what do you guys want to see? Let's flip through it. We'll do one. I don't think I'm going to go too long tonight just because a little exhausted from this weekend. All right, it looks like it's probably going to be overwhelming for Fantastic Four. Oh, there goes the microphone. All right. We're doing Fantastic Four 55. Then I'll do the giveaway and we'll call it a night. All right, Fantastic Four 55. Let's take a look at this book. Jack Kirby, clearly, probably inked by Joe Sinnott. Yeah, there you go. Wind strikes the Silver Surfer. So, one of the, I mean, and I love the aesthetics of a Silver Age book. The fonts, the colors, the simplicity and it's not simplistic, but it feels simplistic, if that makes sense. Like it feels of that time where things were just cleaner and cooler in the pages of a comic book. What year we have on this? This is 1966, October 66. And so you gotta love the way that Kirby draws Ben Grimm, the Thing. He always looks kind of whacked out, kind of pissed off. Oh, let's do it this way. Sorry, folks. Let's get the big screen there. There we go. But so this was still the era where I guess it kind of looks like he's wearing shorts, but he's not the surfer. What the hell is the surfer doing on a mountain? Doesn't make any sense. Why is he on a mountain? He's a surfer. He's not the silver spelunker. Kirby though, I love Kirby. Kirby drew great women. They always looked a little weird, just like every one of his faces, but why is okay, now he's a Silver Surfer and he's outside this woman's window. Look how big he is. It's like the Hulk. Ay, ay, ay. I love it. So I guess Ben Grimm, this is a great copy. I forgot how nice this copy is. So uh he punches him through the house. What a just love it. Look, some Kirby crackle there, some great onomatopoeias. I'm gonna read a panel just to see uh what's going on here. But what motive can he have? Did we not once battle Galactus? Oh, so he can't understand why the thing has just punched him through a house. Wyatt Wingfoot's in here. This is a great panel. Man, Kirby did great action books. Yeah, the colors are vibrant. It's a very everything pops in this book. Look, the yellow background here, the blue, the green, and look at all the color backgrounds that they were using on here are great. This would just be, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who in Marvel needs to hear this, but if they do, why are you not doing like prints or posters or stickers with just these panels? Like, who wouldn't love to own a sticker of just you don't need I mean, I guess the word bubble's cool because it says, I kind of figured that bring you down to earth, you crummy Casanova. Um, but who wouldn't want a sticker or a poster like this? Just this panel. Kirby draws 70s women like he's in 2030 trying to draw women. It's Captain Crockpot. That is absolutely perfect. Oh, look at this. Just a knockdown, drag out fight. Kirby Crackle, Surfer, and the Thing. I mean, the cover is great, right? And it really does. It's one of those times where the cover actually depicts what's happening in the book. Anyway, just this thing really pops. I should well, this is actually a PC book. I just keep it in this room for some reason. I don't know why. Hey, look, is that the Mrs. Minutes or whatever her name is, the timeless woman? Is that where that came from? Let's see. It is three-dimensional amazing. It is. He is a island unto himself. He's the one and only. Hey, look, there's Lockjaw. Lockjaw just shows up. Also, that's really funny. I don't think I ever knew that the thing picked up Surfer's surfboard. I figured like it's kind of like I don't remember, but I feel like Surfer's surfboard is a lot like Thor's hammer, but I guess not. Lockjaw. Aw, not a cute dog. Not a cute dog at all. See, like I would love to have Marvel do a sticker set where it's just random panels like this. Doesn't need the narration, but the my way with Thing's fist or this one. Marvel, listen to me. Rowan said he was gifted a copy of Fantastic 455 and it's his reading box. 10-year-old son saw it arrive in the box. That yeah, I mean, cuz look, how appealing is this cover? When it comes to comics, like this cover is absolutely amazing. Well, my sister in Moses, let's do it then. Let's get somebody to actually you could take a screenshot of this from the Marvel app and then just print it on a sticker. Let's make our own bootleg Marvel sticker set. You heard it here first. The West Coast Avengers and East Bay bootleg edition. Um yeah, so this book this book's a great book. This is a super action book. And it's very much documented and known that the Kirby Fantastic Four run from, I guess, like the late 30s to like 75 is the golden, it's like the cream of the crop of of Marvel Comics. So that's when you're an old comic collector. The guy gifted me an FF 44 53, and wow, that was very nice of him. All right, let's do it. Let's do some stickers. I can make the screenshots and send them to you. um, I still need a really nice copy, or at least a decent copy of Fantastic Four 50. I have a beat up copy, but I want one to match my 48 49. Let's see if anybody we know any names in the back of this. No, nobody I know. This is Prime Kirby for sure. Yeah. So that was a little look through of Fantastic Four 55. And you know what? I guess we could just do a flip through of Captain America 109. Might as well. Let's see. Let's let's uh let's balance Kirby against Kirby. Great cover. One of my probably my favorite Captain America cover of all time. Maybe or at least his solo title. Nope. Sorry, Captain America Annual. Mike Zeck, Wolverine versus Captain America is the greatest Captain America. Kirby was ahead of his time on his art. Now, yeah, I mean, there's nobody that really comes close to doing what Kirby did. I mean, there are guys that have taken inspiration and have done their own thing, but I don't think anybody really, like successfully ever imitated him or whatever. By the way, I'm gonna do a giveaway after we're done looking through this, but you guys can put the hashtag in whenever you want. The hashtag is gonna be MoDave, MoDave, MoDave. Machine orchestrated. Oh, I forget what it was already. MoDave, and I will send you this Image Comics poster and an unopened pack of Topps Finest Image Universe Founders Series. Um, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird did a Turtles book, and it was the Donatello Micro Series book for it was in 1985, I think, and that they dedicated that book to Kirby. It was done in the style of Kirby, and it is such a great read if you've never read it. All right, so here we are, Captain America 109, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Sid Shores doing the inking, so it looks much different. And I'm not sure if Sid Shores was inking him back when they started Captain America, but this looks like a very old style Captain America book. Still looks Kirby, just different Kirby because it wasn't Dick Ayers or Joe Sinnott. You don't have to apologize. You got to do what you got to do. But that's the hashtag. Put it in. I'll do the giveaway after we're done looking through this issue of Captain America 109, The Origin of Captain America. See, look at Kirby and his machinery was something else. And his face is, you always know a Kirby face. It's the eyes, the mouth is really the giveaway. But this is a very colorful issue also. Ooh, I want some plastic pillows. Wonder how many children died from suffocation on those pillows. Probably a lot. Sorry, I went dark. Whoa, look at that splash page. What a fantastic splash page. You got Nick Fury in the back smoking a cigar. And oh, thank you. Thank you. Of course. Always going to give some fun stuff away. Kirby was so amazing. He made Yeah, he was a machine. The man was more prolific than anybody else. I mean, I think those days you had the way that these guys worked, and they were worked to the bone, but they were so prolific. He was prolific. Buscema was prolific. Ramita was prolific. These guys were pumping out so much work. So this is the origin retold of Captain America. So a lot of Nazi war action going on. Not full of too much cap imagery. Tonight on Dave's channel, Jack Kirby and dead children. My bad, but it can't rain all the time. And then you get some Kirby crackle when Steve becomes the Steve we know and love. That's America's ass right there. That's America's abs and America's biceps. Um, but pretty cool that, like, I've never looked at the origin of it's really funny. I've never read the origin of Captain America, but I know it because I've seen the movie like 10 times. But it's exactly what we saw in the movie. Guy tried to blow it up and he ended up well, didn't really work. This is a great panel. This is a great panel too. Don't forget to put the hashtag in MODAVE. What is it? It's machine. Oh, I am. Hold on. I'm gonna MODAVE. Right. It stands for. You ready? It stands for Masterful Orchestrator Demonstrating Amazing Value to Everyone. That's me. That's me. All right. Who wants a darling pet monkey for $18.95 and some pet seahorses for 90 cents? Says all the dead children. All right. So this issue, not as cool as the Fantastic 455. Just not. But the advertisement for Spider-Man number 68 is pretty cool. Let's see what else we got here. Let's Yap with Cap. This is actually a pretty cool letters column. It'd be cool to write a letter addressed to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. So that was Captain America 109, but we looked through Fantastic 455. And all right, guys, let's give this away. I'm giving away, we only have 8 entries. Come on. Come on. Let's get a couple more. Doing this Image Comics poster and the Image Universe Topps Finest pack. Only if the monkey is guaranteed to be alive when you open the box. Dan, unfortunately, the monkey is dead. All right. We'll give it another 30 seconds, and then I'll give this away, and I'll send this to you, and you can open the pack and post it on Instagram or YouTube and be like, this is the guy who he's Dave. Go follow him. He's cool. He's hip. He talks about stuff like dead children and dead monkeys in boxes. Speaking of monkeys, there's my vanilla gorilla. All right. All right. I guess I'm going to give it away since the numbers are dwindling in this room. All right. Let's share the screen and give it away. May the best person win. You'll still take the monkey. All right. Here we go. 5. Hashtag MoDave, MODAVE. 4, 3, 2. Take it away, Steve. I don't know who Steve is. Who's going to win this beautiful poster in this pack of cards? And it is going to be my friend John. Thank you, John. You are the winner. Welcome to the West Coast Avengers ASMR Hour. All right, John, congrats. This is great. You know why this is great? I don't even have to ship this. I'll just see him on Thursday. Sorry, we're not giving the cap away. No. But maybe I'll have that for sale at my next sale. Congratulations, John. You are the winner of that. Oh, wait, I could be back in my day, we stole comics because we were too poor for the 10 cents. So yes, thank you. If there are any questions for tonight, otherwise, I think we're gonna call it in a couple of minutes. Don't forget, next week, SunD.A.V.E. Sit-Down Book Club, Reading the Killing Joke, Alan Moore, Brian Bolland, one of the greatest Batman Joker stories ever told, if not the greatest, but just one of the greatest comics of all time. FF is not for sale. This is not a sale. We don't sell things tonight. But if I do get another copy, it'll be available at a West Coast Wednesday sometime near you. But yeah, so that'll be that. And I appreciate everybody coming tonight. Don't forget a couple of things before you leave, before you click off, uh, hit the like button. That's first things first. Watch one of the videos, specifically the one that I dropped on Friday. Be honest with you. I can be honest with you. This is my channel. It's me. That video was weak in its reception and it's got not a lot of views. But hey, I have to start appealing to YouTube and then just like let the sales and all that stuff do its own thing. That's what I really need to do. Anywho, um, that's all I got for you tonight. I knew this was going to be a low energy week, which is fine because I gave all my energy away on Saturday. I will be back next Sunday. I'm not sure if I'll be live this Wednesday, but if you see that preview photo pop up, that means I'm live. I'm going to be live. And as always, enjoy your week. Keep reading comics. Keep digging for comics. That's okay. Canada can do what they want. I like Canada. I do. I always have, always will. It's one of my favorite places. Uh, Thank you, Old Timer Gaming. Yep, I know I'm not on at the best times for everybody, but at least you guys can enjoy me before you go to sleep if you're in the Eastern time zone. And if you're elsewhere, well, maybe I'll do daytime streams at some point. Anyway, have a great night. Have a great week. Thank you very much. You all mean the world to me, and thank you for coming. I will see you next week, or I will see you this Wednesday. Whatever. You'll see me. John, I'll see you in a couple of days. Everybody have a great night. And it's what 4 time. Oh my God, what time zone is that? 4:21. You're in Europe somewhere. I think you told me, but I can't remember. Anyway, everybody have a great night. Sorry, Andrew. It's okay. It's okay. We'll see you soon. All right. Ireland. I fucking love Ireland. Avengers.